So what if your body, its exact shape, its size, actually held the secret to what sport you were born to play? I mean, what if we could predict an athlete's potential just by measuring them? Well, today we're going to do just that. We are decoding the athletic blueprint to figure out the science of what really makes a champion. And that quote right there, that comes from one of the greatest athletes of all time, Michael Phelps. I mean, talk about a guy who seemed to have absolutely no limits. His career is, it's the stuff of legend. Over his time in the Olympics, Phelps racked up an absolutely insane 28 total medals. And get this, what's truly mind-blowing is that a staggering 23 of those were gold. 23! To give you some perspective, that's more gold medals than 161 times countries have won in their entire history. Just think about that. So you gotta ask, how did he do it? I mean, yeah, the hard work, the dedication, that's a given. But there was something else going on. Michael Phelps was a physical marvel. He was practically engineered to be in the water. You know, when he was a kid, Phelps was actually diagnosed with ADHD. His teachers were worried he couldn't focus, but he took all that intense energy and just channeled it, poured it right into the swimming pool. And that's where his coach, Bob Bowman, saw something special. Bowman realized pretty quickly that Phelps didn't just have raw talent. His body itself was like a living, breathing blueprint for a world-class swimmer. And the story of Michael Phelps, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, sure, he's an extreme example, but what if we could do this for any athlete? What if we could systematically measure their potential just by looking at their physical build? Well, you're not going to believe it, but there's a whole field of science dedicated to doing exactly that. So let's get into it. It's time to decode the athletic blueprint. It's a field called anthropometry. And yeah, it's a mouthful, but it's pretty simple when you break it down. It comes from the Greek words for human and measure. And that's exactly what it is, the science of taking really precise body measurements to find patterns that might just predict who's built for athletic greatness. The whole process is actually pretty straightforward. You can think of it in 3 simple steps. First, you measure the body. We're talking height, arm length, width, all of it, very precisely. Then you analyze all that data. And you're not just looking at the raw numbers, you're looking for important ratios and patterns. And finally, you use that analysis to predict which sports a person might naturally excel at. All right, so what are these measurements that matter? Well, some of them are going to make perfect sense, but trust me, a few of them are probably going to surprise you. Okay, let's kick things off with a really important one, the ratio of your sitting height to your standing height. Basically, this just tells us how long an athlete's torso is in comparison to their legs. And right away, this measurement shows us a key idea in all of this. Sometimes shorter legs are actually a huge advantage. It's a great reminder that when we're talking about body proportions in sports, longer isn't always better. And what's so cool is seeing how the ideal ratio completely flips depending on the sport. I mean, look at this. For divers, a longer torso means better balance in the air. For wrestlers and judo athletes, it gives them a lower, more stable center of gravity. But then you look at basketball or track, and it's the complete opposite. You want a lower torso-to-leg ratio, which means longer legs for better reach and a longer stride. Okay, you've heard it a million times, right? The sports commentators go on and on about an athlete's incredible wingspan. So is that just some hype, a cool-sounding buzzword? Or is it a real, measurable advantage? Oh, it is absolutely real, and we measure it with something called the arm span index, sometimes called the APE index. It's super simple. It just compares your arm span, fingertip to fingertip, with your height. If that ratio is greater than 1, it means your arms are literally longer than you are tall. And for certain sports, this is a total game changer. We're talking swimming, basketball, throwing events like discus, even volleyball and racket sports. Having a high arm span index gives you a huge mechanical advantage. It's all about reach and leverage. All right, get ready for what might be the most surprising measurement of them all. This is called the 2D/4D digit ratio. And all it is a simple comparison between the length of your second digit, that's your index finger, and your fourth digit, your ring finger. Now, this is where it gets really wild. Scientific research has shown that having a longer ring finger compared to your index finger is linked to higher exposure to testosterone before you were even born. And that can actually correlate to having greater natural speed, more power, and even better aerobic capacity later in life. It's a tiny little physical clue with potentially huge implications for athletic ability. Okay, so we've looked at these individual measurements, leg length, arm span, even finger ratios. But how does it all come together to form an overall body type? Well, that's where we start talking about something scientists call somatotypes. For the most part, we can classify body types into three main categories. You've got the ectomorph, who is naturally lean and long. Then there's the mesomorph, who's got that classic athletic and muscular build. And finally, the endomorph, who tends to be softer and rounder. So let's break that down a bit. The ectomorph, think long-distance runner. They have a fast metabolism, a lean build, and they're just perfectly suited for endurance sports. The mesomorph, on the other hand, is your classic power and speed athlete. They gain muscle easily and just have that natural strength. And that brings us to the endomorph. They typically have a stronger, more solid build. This gives them an incredible foundation for pure strength sports. Think powerlifting or shot put. The key thing to remember is that each body type comes with its own set of awesome physical advantages. So when you put this all together, what does it really mean? For you, for me, for any athlete out there? It means that being successful isn't just about how hard you train. It's also about understanding what you're working with and learning how to use your own unique physical advantages. And this chart, this is a perfect way to visualize that whole idea. It's called a somata chart, and it's basically a map of where different athletes fall based on their body type. And if you look closely, you can see it. Athletes from the same sports tend to clump together. You've got your runners in one spot, your weightlifters in another. It's just amazing proof that there is no single perfect athletic body. There are just different bodies, each perfectly built for a different challenge. At the end of the day, this science isn't about telling people what they can't do. It's about helping them find the perfect fit, the sport that lines up with their natural physical blueprint. So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. You train your body, you push it to its limits, but do you know what it was truly built for?